Alright, continuing with our Vlogmas. Here's another train set that I got that I wanted to share with you.
Dispatcher here. Start her up. Stand by for track orders. Over. Yes, sir. Start up and stand by. Out. Dispatcher, my engine's ready. Can I pull? Over. Please stand by. Out. Dispatcher, are we clear to the next milepost? Over. Yeah, sir ahead. Over. Thank you, sir. Clear track ahead. Out. Dispatcher, clear block. We're almost home. Over. Copy that. All clear inbound. Out.
This one is another Christmas train. Shipped direct from Lionel. This is interesting, and one of the things I think is cool about it is it's the Polar Express, but it's a freight train. And Lionel's really had success marketing their Polar Express, and they've expanded it quite a bit. My personal opinion is that when people buy Lionel trains, they're kind of a seasonal thing at this point. Lionel pretty much peaked with its train sets somewhere in the 1950s, so you're looking at 60, 70 years ago when Lionel was peaked, and pretty much every boy was looking for a Lionel train set under their tree. But today, with all the electronics and everything, it seems like, kids like trains, but they get bored quickly. So Lionel has a lot of accessories, operating accessories that are Polar Express related, so you can have the whole thing set up at Christmas. So let's get this box open. Take a little bit look at this. You got your tickets here, and the artwork is pretty cool. Polar Express remote. It's Bluetooth, so you can use it on your phone. Yeah, let's see. LionChief app. So what you do is you just set this up on your phone, and I'll show you how to do that. They've really mastered packing as far as getting everything compact. Here's our power cord. So what I like about these new sets is even if you don't use it on your phone, they've got a remote, so you can sit in your chair. And a lot of the older folks I've noticed like that reminisce about their childhood, so they've got their train set up on the floor, and then they can just sit in a comfortable chair and operate their train set with the remote. So here's the Polar Express tender. Here you've got smoke fluid and traction tires. This set comes with billboards, which usually you would see these in the old Pennsylvania flyer starter sets, but these just have pictures from the movie on the billboard, so that's a neat feature. It came with this set that you don't usually see accessories come with train sets anymore. These run on 2 AA batteries. Here's your remote. I'll set this off to the side. Here's all your instructions. So just like the 284, the Berkshire, this one has the little Polar Express ribbons with it also. This just says, warning, operating the smoke unit without the smoke fluid will cause damage, so turn the smoke switch to off if you're not operating with the smoke unit. I usually get some Christmas scented smoke, like pine tree or things like that, to put in here, so it just kind of adds a little bit. When I was talking about, kids using trains, historically speaking, the Lionel trains were really robust, and they were really ideal for small hands. And to a point, that's still the case. However, with the LionChief and the remote app, with the sound and everything, they've got these little, it's almost like a little telephone jack here on these tenders. So the electronics are in here, and the pickup is here. So what happens is the electricity goes through this little connector here, which is very fragile, and then connects into the tender. So that's the only thing about these new trains is the weakest link of the chain is right here, and if you break any of this, it's very expensive to get it fixed. So you could lose all your sound. You could lose the coupler altogether, and then you're looking at a lot of money to get that repaired. So it's plastic, and in my opinion, I don't know that it's a great design. I think they should have figured out some way to make it all self-contained. The old Lionel trains basically had a steel drawbar coming off the tender, and then there was a little peg sticking underneath the locomotive, so you would just hook it together, and it was pretty much foolproof. But now you've got this plastic here, and it's very fragile, and I can see a real strong potential for problems. So it's just something to be careful of if you're getting this for little kids. Okay, in the second tier, this is another feature that came with this train set, is a girder bridge. And so again, this is actually metal. I'm impressed. It's a plastic, but the base is metal. So this fits under your fast track. Here's a Polar Express boxcar. Opening doors. These used to be metal. The base of these used to always be metal. Now it's plastic. It still has die-cast wheels, and it feels like the trucks are die-cast. So there's not a lot of heft to it. And one of the things about Lionels is they always used to feel solid. So while the bodies were plastic, the trucks were heavy, and the whole undercarriage here was heavy as well. So it's got some nice artwork, and one of the things about modern technology is they can really sharpen the details as far as printing. So it looks really good. And I guess the upside of these light cars is the trains can pull more, but it's plastic. They do have a lot of add-on freight cars and passenger cars. You can still get the fast track editions. And I've noticed most of the Lionel train sets that they have right now, they come with a box car and a tank car. And I guess you can buy some of the other cars, separately. My best advice as far as like adding more cars to your train is to go to like a flea market, or we have train shows up here in Maine sometimes, and there'll be a lot of vendors selling various things. You can get fast track by the piece, you can get the cars by the piece, and then of course there's always like the bidding sites like eBay where you can buy stuff. So I'm guessing it's just manufacturing. They seem to come with these two cars. If you go online and look at the Lionel train sets they have available right now, it's a tank car and a box car for the most part, unless you get one of the more specialty sets, and then there might be a one-off or something, but those are very pricey. So again, this is a plastic body. It's got a metal rail around it, die-cast trucks, die-cast wheels. Now one of the things I like about Lionel, and you don't get this in the N or the HO scale, is this three-rail system, and Lionel's patented this over 100 years ago. And so what happens is no matter how you connect the track, you won't get a short. Whereas when you use like the two-rail system, if you follow it, you'll see that sometimes if you make like a Y with a switch, you'll end up reversing the poles and you get a short. But that's not the case with the Lionels, because the center track is the pickup, and then it goes out these outside rails. So this locomotive is really heavy. It's all metal. It feels pretty good. And like again, the weakest link of this is the drawbar. So even this is all plastic. This whole thing. And I don't understand what they were thinking, because typically, Lionels and little kids Lionels were, in my mind, little kids' introduction to train sets. So here's your caboose, and it's pretty much the same as all the rest of their cabooses. It's not an offset cupola. It's plastic. It feels like a one piece as far as this goes. It's at the top, obviously. It does look like it's lit. There's pickups on it, so it probably does have lighting inside. And so all these cars have operating couplers. There's a little tab on the side that will operate the couplers. And so one of the things I always liked about Lionels is you can just walk up to it and just push the tab down, and then you're uncoupled, and when you come back in, it hits this and it couples it back almost like a real train. And then you've got the little bumpers down here, so if you have an uncoupling track, that works as well. The HO and the N is a little bit more difficult to uncouple. You have to have the special tracks or the magnets, or a little bit more is involved. You can't just randomly be driving your train and then decide you're going to drop cars off. So it's a little bit more involved with the N. And this is our fast track. All of the manufacturers now have some rendition of their track, and what they've got is it's a track with a roadbed. And I did see that Lionel has in the movie when the train kind of hits the ice on the lake, the thing is going like this. They have a track that's kind of got squigglies to reenact that part, and I think that's kind of cool. They've also got track that's kind of clear with lights in it to put around your Christmas tree, which it looks fake, but if you don't care, that's pretty neat also. So these don't come with tons of track. There's enough to build an oval or kind of like a square. So you get 4 straights and then enough curves to make the oval. So we'll go ahead and set this up, and I'll show you how this works, and I'll put some batteries in the controller, and then I will be back. So you probably want to have an adult help a child get these little screws in. So here's your power indicator, your forward, reverse, here's your horn, this is your crew talk or your announcements, and here's your bell. Also, when you are going faster, the light will flicker faster. Now there's a more advanced remote that would have the coupler if you have electro couplers, but this one doesn't, and it would be split. There would actually be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons here. On my universal remote, there's 1, 2, 3 buttons, so you basically program each locomotive to a button. But this one here is only for one locomotive, so you'd have to have to run more than one train on the track. You either have to have a couple of remotes, one programmed to each engine, or you need to get the universal remote. And I think I got mine for like $40 off Amazon, so not really expensive. But if you're going to run more than one train, especially if you got turnouts and you have engines sitting off to the side waiting, it may be worth getting that universal remote. Alright, so it is possible to change the volume on your train, and the way you do that is the announcement button is a shift. So you need to make sure the engine is stopped. You hold down this right here, which is your shift button, and then you turn it. That's down. So it's good if you got it running around the tree and you don't really want to hear all the stuff going on. So you just kind of want it for like ambience, and that's what this is for. So that works pretty well. So overall, I think it's a pretty decent little train. Again, you're getting the same everything. All these trains are pretty much the same. It's the cost saver feature. Most of them have a box car that's basically plastic, and a tank car, which is basically plastic. And at least, they're better than some of the junk that came out when I was a kid. Some of the junk that came out when I was a kid, some of them had like solid trucks with like one wheel here and one wheel here, and the trucks didn't turn. A lot of them didn't even have the operating couplers, so at least the couplers now are operable. You can push this little lever, this little uncoupling bar. Each one of these has an uncoupling bar on each side, and it also has this little tab here, so when you pull over an activator accessory track pack, when you push that button, it'll activate this right here and pull it down, which will trip it and uncouple. So if you see when I pull that out, it trips that coupler. And then when it'll automatically recouple, there's a little tab in here. So when the new coupler comes in and attaches, it will automatically connect. So they definitely will attach better on a straight. And you have to turn the volume down every time you turn the train on. It's not going to stay there forever. So to couple, hit your tab again. And then we'll just turn it up so you can hear some of this.
Dispatcher, my engine's ready. Can I pull? Over. Please stand by. Out.
Usually there's like four sayings.
Dispatcher, trains buckle together. Can I get a go? Over. Negative. Hold your position. Over. Okay, understood. Out. I'm ready to roll, dispatcher. Can I get to the main line? Over. Roger that. Take the green. Over. Roger that. Cleared outbound. Out.
So the steam chuffing and the smoke are synchronized. So when you hear the chuff, you're going to get the smoke popping out. I like the coffee scented smoke personally, as well as the evergreen.
Dispatcher, train in motion. Heading outbound. Over. Roger that. Have a good run. Out. Dispatcher, clear block. We're almost home. Over. Copy that. All clear inbound. Out.
So normally when you would assemble a train, this is a hot chocolate car, so it doesn't matter, but usually they would put the tank cars as far to the end as possible, especially with a steam locomotive. So overall, I think it's a pretty decent little set. It's a little pricey. It's cheaper than the passenger train, but it's the same thing, other than the graphics. And I think if you want a freight set in addition to your Polar Express passenger set, this is a decent little add-on. And then I pretty much always buy my railroad cars off eBay or something, some secondary outlet. I almost never buy brand new cars. And it's just because you can get them so much cheaper, and the variety is there. The new variety, you're pretty limited, and they're very pricey for a single car. You're gonna run into like $40 plus. So on eBay you can probably buy 4 or 5 cars for $40 with shipping. So it just depends on what you get, but I do think it's a neat little set. The graphics are pretty good, and it runs nice, and it's a good starter set. And then once you start putting some switches in and some extra tracks, you have a pretty good little layout. So yeah, I do recommend it. I think it's neat. And the only thing I said is just when you got little kids, you want to make sure that you're supervising them, because this right here is your point of failure. It's not like the old trains where they had a steel drawbar on them and you could pretty much just drop them and they worked. These right here are a lot more fragile, so that's just something to be cognizant of. But you know, for a small, not a small child, but like a, you know, a 12, 10-year-old, you know, this is a great train to start with. It's big and it's easy to put things on the tracks, and you know, it takes up more space, but I really like it. So if you have any questions or comments, put them down below, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.